Okay, so here we have a probability problem in which the experiment is rolling 3 dice. Okay, so using the definition of probability, or the classical definition of probability, the probability of an event happening is the number of ways, the number of simple outcomes contained in that event, or the number of ways it could happen, divided by the total number of possible simple outcomes from the experiment. So our event here that we're looking for, I'll call it event E, let's say, is the sum of the 3 dice is 16. So now the question is, what is the probability of this happening? Well, for probability we need two numbers. We need to know how many ways this event can happen and how many ways in total can this experiment play out. So let's start with the numerator. Now, this is part A, sum of 16. So 3 dice have to add up to 16. Now for 3 dice to add up to 16, the smallest number possible would be 4. So for example, if we have 3 dice, if one dice was a 3, or if one die was a 3, even if the other two were as high as they could be, 6s, this only adds up to 15. So that first number has got to be a 4. So die number 1, die number 2, and die number 3. Alright, so think of these as 3 distinguishable dice, like maybe 3 different color dice. So that 4 could happen in position 1, or, so we have 4, 6, 6, or the 4 could happen in position 2, 6, 4, 6, or the 4 could happen in position 3, 6, 6, 4. Now what if the 4 was a 5? Let's say 5 here. Now to add up to 16, the other two dice would have to add up to 11. And that's a 5 and a 6. Okay, so the other possibility is 2 5s and a 6. So that could happen like this. Or the 6 could come second. Or the 6 could come first. Okay, so we're at 6. Remember, this is our event E, and we're counting how many ways E can happen. And we have 2 6s, we have 1 6. There has to be a 6. If there's no 6s, if we have 3 5s, that doesn't give us enough. That's only 15. So it looks like these 6 options are the only way we could obtain a sum of 16. So our event could happen 6 different ways. So for part A, for this problem, the answer would be 6. Now for part B, what's the probability of getting a sum of 16? Well, that's 6 out of how many? So there's 6 ways our event could happen. How many total ways can how many total combinations of 3 dice are there? Each dice there's 6 options. So we have 6 options. Now this is not the number 6. This is 6 options. For die number 1, we have 6 options. For die number 2, we have 6 options for die number 3. So the fundamental counting rule says we multiply these out. 6 options for position 1, 6 for position 2, 6 for position 3. So the total number of sequences of 3 numbers where each number is a 1 through a 6, 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216. 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, so the probability of rolling a 16, so the probability of our event should be 6 out of the 216. Now these are both even, so they're at least they're divisible by 2. I'm just going to go to the calculator and say 6 divided by 216. Okay, and you can convert that to a fraction here in the math menu. So if you follow this little black arrow I just drew with a button that says math, and the first option, number 1, so math 1, converts your last answer into a fraction, and it will always give you the fraction in reduced form. So I inputted 6 divided by 216, that's our probability, and converted it back to a fraction so that it's in reduced form, and according to the calculator that's 1 over 36. So part B, 1 over 36 would be the reduced fraction. Since the directions say specifically, and I'll use blue up here, specifically express your answers as reduced fractions. If you type in 6 over 216, it will mark you wrong. It's not in reduced form. Okay, that does it for this one. Hope it helps.